Christina George and Renee Chavez, only on DTMWickedRadio.com.
Hello, everyone. This is Christina George. Welcome to Aliens, UFOs, and Beyond. Right now, we're waiting for Renee to join in, and as soon as he gets in, I will get him patched through, and we will start the show. But I just want to thank everybody, welcome everybody back. I know that I've been gone for the past few weeks. For those of you who have followed me on the actual social media sites, many different ones. Many of you know that my daughter just recently had her baby, and I became a grandmother again for the second time. But unfortunately, she had to have an emergency C-section to save her and the baby's life. And after about a week, she got very, very ill and got an abscess and started hemorrhaging. So she had to go in for a second surgery. So I have been up at the hospital, staying with her daily, along with the baby, and helping out. And we just got back a few days ago, and so we have debuted the shows again and started them back up. And I know that many people have sent me messages hoping that everything would be okay, telling me that, they missed the show, and I definitely have missed all of you. So we're hoping to get the show on the road here very soon. Looks like, I guess Renee was having some issues, and I guess we are having some issues with sound. So there is chat room link in case. We're also simulcast on blogtalkradio.com under the DTM Radio Aliens, UFOs, and Beyond link. So you can also check us out there due to some weather issues on the East Coast where our radio network is. So tonight, like I said, we are going to be discussing all kinds of topics. I'm at the beginning, because I've been gone for the past few weeks, I had a guest and they had something else that came up, an emergency. So I was thinking about getting another guest, and I thought, there is so much news right now in and on and around the internet that I thought, geez, there's enough for Renee and I to do a whole show on just about any and all of it. So I posted actually a YouTube video up on my page as well as on the Aliens, UFOs, and Beyond page, and I wanted to get people's, thoughts and start bringing some questions forward. Tonight, like I said, we're going to be talking about alien races, underground bases, the increase in UFO activity around not only the United States but around the world, implants, star children, reptilian races, all these new technologies that's coming up, and just so much more. And so I think that it's going to be a very interesting show tonight. We welcome all of you to call in. Our call-in number is area code 607-244-6483. I will also try to get you the Blog Talk call-in number just in case, and then that way, if you'd like to call there, you are also welcome to. That number is 713-955-0384. There's also a Skype button if you go to the Aliens, UFOs, and Beyond page, and you can call in that way through your Skype if you'd like as well. So I'd love for you guys to call in, give some feedback, your feelings on different topics. You can talk about whatever you want tonight. It's really kind of a free-for-all. So, again, though, can I say I appreciate all of the support that we get every single week. The supporters are absolutely going crazy. But I kind of want to wait for Renee to kind of start on all of this because there is one of the first things that I want to talk about tonight is the newly released alien non-disclosure document that Dr. J. Robert Oppenheimer and Professor Albert Einstein had signed way back in June of 1947, before the Roswell incident, talking about alien races among us. So on this draft, and now mind you, this is why so many things have become so controversial. We were told that Roswell didn't exist. We were told that UFOs didn't exist. We have always been told that alien races do not exist. But yet we keep being flooded, especially since the, Information Act came about, where if you knew the right paperwork to file, that over certain many years or whatever, when things would get declassified. Now, you have to think that the amount of paperwork that's in the government, in the military, is just overwhelming. So there's just so many documents, and to try to go through one for somebody through all of them, it would take you forever. But the thing is that there are, so many people that are interested in this, that everybody is kind of joining together, and they are searching these files, and they are finding some crazy, crazy stuff that, again, we have been told absolutely 100% without a doubt does not exist. Oh, sounds like we got Renee on the line. Renee, you there?
It's a conspiracy, I'm telling you.
Oh, gee. Nothing like not being able to call into your own show, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm calling in, and then it says that all the lines are full and can't get through, and it's like, please call again. And it's like, I got to get on. What are you talking about?
The heck? Well, I would say then for anybody that is trying to call in, that you might want to use the Blog Talk number, which is, again, 713-955-0384. And, again, you can Skype in as well. I'm glad you're here, Renee. I was trying not to start. I saw that you were in chat, but we were kind of stuck in limbo, so I couldn't really not say anything. But I'm glad you're here, because I hope that, you saw on my page, I started kind of posting some videos from YouTube that have recently came out. And I did that because, of course, since, we've been off the air for a few weeks, and we've been playing reruns with the guest situation, I kind of thought, geez, there's just so much information in the news right now between what I'm seeing, what you're posting, what I'm posting. There's just so much that I figure, there's enough definitely for a 2-hour show, if not more, of just new stuff that's brand new in the news, So I think it's going to be a really good show tonight.
Yeah, now that I'm here now, no, just kidding.
Well, of course, absolutely. It couldn't be a good show without you. All right. Well, we were telling the listeners about the new top secret document that was released, that alien non-disclosure document that was signed back in June of 1947, before Roswell incident. It had Dr. J. Robert Oppenheimer as well as Professor Albert Einstein, and obviously they're both very well known. Both signed this alien non-disclosure document. I know, but this is a rhetorical question, but, you've seen this document, right?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just, thinking because, everybody makes a big deal about the whole Roswell thing and its cover-up and so forth, and there's lots of documents on that, and of course that's been covered up. But this whole alien situation has been taking place long before that, and that's what these files are for, and that we're bringing it out now. So it's just amazing how we kind of shoved all those documents kind of hidden away and say that nothing happened, and until everybody started talking about the 1947 crash. But yeah, we've had other files that have been kind of swept under the rug that took place before, and like you said, Einstein, involvement in that, knows of this stuff is taking place. So it is amazing. I just get overwhelmed when I think about that, and it's like, this has been going on for quite some time.
Well, right, but again, it only shows you, how brainwashed we are. If we are told by our government for, all these years, 60 years, that these things do not exist, and even though we see proof of it, more and more over the years, back before, every once in a while, if somebody, how many people actually carried a camera around in their cars, like back in even like the 60s? Like nobody, right?
Sure.
I mean,
right.
How many people would get a snapshot of a UFO incident? But yet we had, all kinds of reporting of, different interaction with craft and, missing time and being taken from their cars and all these things. But everybody would say, all they have is their memory and their reports. That doesn't make it true. We need to have more proof, like a picture or video. So people started carrying cameras. Now we're at such a technological, impasse where we've got so much technology, almost everybody has a phone, and every phone has a camera. So now we give people the evidence, but alongside of that, again, people, it's just, since we have been programmed, it's just so contrary to what our brain can kind of even take for some people that, they still want to deny that it could possibly be true. And I really think that it would take an actual, here it's on CNN that, there's a major craft, something straight out of, one of the scary movies that they've made about, aliens attacking us, for people to say, oh, my God, they actually exist. And seeing these kind of, documents, and this isn't the only one. I mean, there are thousands upon thousands that keep being released onto the Internet that people are finding that show this proof without the whole shock value, of, they've landed now, what the hell do we do? Not only have they landed, they've been here for a very, very long time and lived among us.
Yeah. Even in the, early 1900s, even well as the 1800s, they've had craft that's been spotted, and it's been in various newspapers throughout the world, and even in the United States. They call them UFOs, and they basically call it an airship. The best way they can describe something is being an airship. So it's similar they think it's kind of like a hot air balloon kind of situation or something like that. So, yeah, it's been going on for quite some time, and you can look at archives and looking at old UFOs in the United States, and you'll be able to see these kind of reports throughout the country. So it's been happening for quite some time.
Right, and, then again, too, I had also posted, a video where we were talking about, or this video was made about all of the people that go missing around the country. They happen to go missing in, clusters. A lot of times they will be in, the woods or in the wilderness, when people are camping, hiking, different things, they just kind of disappear. And it actually went and showed all different, a whole variety of different pictures that have been leaked or released over the, past 40 years, I'd say, of different pictures that have been taken in the actual Dulce underground base.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very interesting. Again, the evidence is kind of overwhelming, and it shocks me that people just are, again, in such denial that they don't want to believe that any of these things can exist. I mean, you have pointed out and posted on Facebook, I know for our P.P.R.S team, you track a lot of different things along as myself, and, you've found many underground bases above ground and below ground, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yeah. I spend a lot of hours in doing this research for a good number of years now. And then when Google Earth first came out, and it's like, oh, that added another tool for me to mess around with to try to find these various bases. So, as one of our members, Robin, says, I'm kind of, it's kind of a natural for me to do it too. And of course, when you have a certain connection or intuition, if you want to call it that, to be able to locate these things too. And of course, if you would, anybody who followed my story about my past life thing also kind of fits into all this, and how I look for things. So, there's part of the knowing part, and then the intuition that comes into play too. And so when I look at these things, and I view the whole snapshot of it and different angles of the area, and I kind of document it as I go along. And then now, when you talk about the underwater base by Malibu, and all of a sudden it starts being talked about now, and it's like, I knew about that place way back in the 80s.
Right.
So, I'm not going to pat myself on the back. I'm just a person who spots something, and then, when somebody else also notices these things and it comes out, more in their forefront now, it validates it, and that I'm not just imagining it and so forth. It's just validation. It really helps, and it's nice to see that that's actually coming forward now.
Yeah, there's just so much craziness, just all the way. I get kind of shocked that, again, a lot of the information that is being kind of regenerated, on the internet, a lot of this information has been out there for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
I mean, in that video, every single picture that was posted, I've seen over the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's like, oh, wow, look at this, look at that. And, how could people snap pictures, in these places? But we have to remember that, even for the top military people, just like there's good and bad in everything, there's good cops, there's bad cops, military, there's people and the government, people that are on the good side, and there's also people that are on the bad side, and there are people who are not only inquisitive because it's their human nature, but sometimes, just because we are ordered to do something does not mean that we might agree with it. And where, say, 30, 40 years ago, if you were a whistleblower, you might end up dead because you were one, in every blue moon that might come out and say something. But now we're seeing whistleblowers left and right. Like, they just don't care anymore. And I think that our military is getting tired of hiding everything from the public.
Yeah.
I think that, back before, that's how they were trained. Just do as they were told and don't question, don't ask. That's the way you do it. If you don't, guess what'll happen, And we know that there is some really, really crazy, dark stuff that goes on in our government.
That's true.
Especially if you go and you blow some secrets, because they take their black op and their security levels, very, very, very serious. It is not easy to get a top security clearance to the ranks of what you would need in order to be able to work at Dulce or at Area 51 for that matter. Because, they are both very similar in what goes on at these underground establishments. Right.
And we've seen even footage of areas like Plum Island, what goes on there, the kind of experimentation, and it's supposed to be for the Department of Disease, but they're researching and also genetic engineering with, animals and and mixing with human DNA, and of course, you get these weird-looking creatures, and some have gotten out and end up washing up on shore, and of course, like the Montauk Monster that's washed up on shore, and a few other strange creatures that people have been seeing in those areas.
Right.
Also, there's been also sightings of weird creatures around Area 51, out in the Nevada desert, as well as, in Dulce, kind of reptilian kind of looking creature, kind of half humanoid and half something else. And so every now and then these things do get loose, and for them to try to keep a lid on it, they just kind of hard for them to try to trace a lot of these creatures, because there's so many places for them to hide out in in the desert and so forth, with the caves and so forth.
Right.
So,
right. Well, the thing is that talking about these kind of hybrid creatures and things like that. I mean, we already know that like the Center for Disease Control and, these different, very secretive, that are not in the public eye, like the CDC, what they do is they create different things, and figure out how to be able to contain them, beat the, whether it be viruses, germs, new animals. They're always trying to figure out how to, make something, I just posted about this too, make something that, you use stem cell surgery that, or technology that would, keep you young and, cure all these different things. And we have seen so many things wash up, and I don't even know that they escape, because I think that they would probably create these hybrids underground anyway, or in a very, very secure laboratory. I think that these things are purposely released, and even possibly tracked.
Probably see how they react in the open world.
Right. And, I know that there have been rumors that, things like this have happened, and they have escaped, or somebody has let them out, or, something, or they've let them out and they have tracked them to see how they react in a different environment. So, we've got all kinds of very interesting things. And I remember there was this little, it almost looked like a little alien and reptilian thing that was caught in a hunter's trap in his barn years ago. Do you remember that one?
Yes, yeah.
And it was like snapped on it, and the guy said that it was like alive, and it was like trying to like get out of it, but it was like, it was in between, a clamp. It couldn't go anywhere. It was like caught.
Right.
And it, sat there and fought for a very, very long time before it finally died, and then it kind of shriveled up, and when they finally, brought it forward, all these tests have been done. But even in the video I was watching, even that is rumored to have been a genetically created hybrid animal. And from what I understand and from sources that I know, there are plenty of hybrid research between human and animals and all kinds of weird things happening every day right underneath our nose.
Very true. This kind of experimentation has been going on for quite some time. Matter of fact, I even posted a video onto the P.P.R.S page, and it's been on Monster Hunters, and talking about the type of creatures that are actually created in these bases, and they've been going on with these scientists ever since World War II. Back in Germany when they were doing experimentations on the the people from these concentration camps. And when World War II ended, those exact same scientists came over here and spread out in all these various bases that we have, and they pretty much continued on what they've learned about their experimentations. So it just seems like, I don't know, it's very surreal, and in my eyes, that's totally against universal law, and to try to mess around with this kind of genetic engineering. I mean, I can understand trying to work with various cures and so forth, but doing something like that is just I don't know, kind of turns my stomach when I think about it. There's ways of going around helping mankind rather than to create these weird creatures just to make, some are trying to create these super soldiers and so they can overcome various environments and harsh environments so that they can, attack their enemies and so forth. And, and part of the other conspiracy about, we got to create this special army to attack these aliens that are coming forth, so we're getting ready for this great war. And it's like, yeah, right.
Right. Well, let's go back to this alien non-disclosure document, because of course, you and I, we do a lot of research in this field, and we 100% are on the same page where we know this stuff exists and has been operating for a very, very long time right under our noses, and people have just been so brainwashed to believe whatever we're told and not to question anything that it's kind of kept it under wraps, and then get people that are so afraid of being classified as crazy that they, back in the day, would not say anything. But we have evolved as a human race so much that we are starting to question everything, and which we should, and I think that it is, changing our makeup. We are becoming very inquisitive, not just taking things at face value what somebody says, and we are evolving, and I think that that's why so many people now are changing their minds on if aliens really do exist and are they among us. And we look at this this document, and I want to read a little bit of it because it just kind of blows my mind. And this was posted, and it was by a Susan Ducklos, and it says, below are the contents of the document that's listed as top secret. It was revealed from the Freedom of Information Act request, which discusses relationships with extraterrestrials that land on Earth, given as advice via a letter detailed in the video below to politicians and military leaders. This top secret letter offers options that, in light of claims that aliens do indeed walk among us and hidden from human beings, is quite relevant because the advice does suggest the best option would be to provide for peaceful absorption of the celestial races in such a manner that our culture would remain intact with guarantees that their presence not be revealed. So it's very important. So this was, like an agreement that was come about, and this has been, said over and over, for a very long time, that we have these kind of agreements with our government. And it said the letter was retyped by skyships over cashiers because the document was not sharp enough to easily read, but they clearly state they did no editing and even left grammatical errors and spelling errors in place. The most astounding this is that this letter was written in June 1947, a month before the Roswell incident, and was written by the two of the smartest scientists in the history, which were obviously Dr. J. Robert Oppenheimer and Professor Albert Einstein. So when you scroll down, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it was, it says, relationships with extraterrestrial men presents no basically new problem from the standpoint of international law. But the possibility of confronting intelligent beings that do not belong to the human race would bring up problems whose solution it is difficult to conceive. In the first place, it would be necessary to establish communication with them through some language or other, and afterwards, as a first condition for all intelligence, that they should have a psychology similar to that of a man. At any rate, international law would make place for new law on a different basis, and it might be called law among planetary people, following guidelines found in the Pentateuch. It says if these intelligent beings were in possession of a more or less culture and more or less perfect political organization, they would have an absolute right to be recognized as independent or sovereign peoples. We would have to come to an agreement with them to establish some legal regulations upon which future relationships should be based, and it would be necessary to accept many of their principles. Finally, if they would reject all peaceful cooperation and become an imminent threat to the earth, we would have the right to legitimate defense, but only so far as to be necessary to annul this danger. Another possibility may exist that a species of Homo sapiens might have established themselves as an independent nation on another celestial body in our solar system and evolved culturally independently from ours. Obviously, this possibility depends on many circumstances. Those conditions cannot yet be foreseen. So it is, the things that these people, now look at how we think of Albert Einstein, right? I mean, genius. Like, look at all the things that he's done. I mean, we're taught about him in our history classes. And we believe, everything that he created and has said and all of this. And then here we have this document that is a non-disclosure between alien races. Where does that throw people in their mindset? Like, what the hell to think? Like, now do they think he's a crazy person? Like, he used to be a genius. Now he's talking about aliens. What the hell,
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking at it myself. I'm going, he's pretty clear about this, too. And so now we got our genius. Okay, that makes him maybe he's a little eccentric, maybe a little bit off. And it's like, then I guess a lot of our pilots and a lot of our astronauts who have these special training to go to the moon and so forth, and they too are having these sightings and so forth. And it wasn't until recent years that they actually brought it out that, there are other beings out there. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, who else? Cooper also talked about the extraterrestrials. So all this has been there, and I know a lot of them are up in age and everything, and they want to get it off their chest before they're gone to say, yes, they're out there. We are not alone, which is kind of a relief to see that. But now, how do people look at them now? They're maybe a little off or something. Something happened out there that they're a little nuts now. People got to look at all the facts, put all the stuff, and go through this pile of stuff that we see on the internet and everything, and try to find out which is the real stuff and which is the actual hoax. And it's really hard because now people are into this whole CGI crap now, and we have to look even harder for the actual truth. Right.
But we're going back here. We're in 1947, and if you scroll down a little farther, it says, the presence of unidentified spacecraft in our atmosphere and possibly maintaining orbits around our planet is now, however, accepted as de facto by our military. The use of the atomic bomb combined with space vehicles poses a threat on a scale which make it absolutely necessary to come to an agreement in this area. With the appearance of unidentified space vehicles, and then it's in parentheses, it says opinions are sharply divided as to their origin, over the skies of Europe and the United States have sustained an ineradicable fear, an anxiety about security that is driving the great powers to make an effort to find a solution to the threat. Military strategists foresee the use of spacecraft with nuclear warheads as the ultimate weapon of war. Even the deployment of artificial satellites for intelligence gathering and target selection is not far off. Attack no longer comes from an elusive direction. nor from a determined country, but from the sky, with the practical impossibility of determining who the aggressor is, now to intercept the attack or how to effect immediate reprisal. These problems are compounded further by identification. How does the air defense radar operator identify or more precisely classify his target? When artificial satellites and missiles find their place in space, we must consider the potential threat that an unidentified spacecraft pose. One must consider the fact that misidentification of these spacecraft for an intercontinental missile in re-entry phase of flight could lead to the accidental nuclear war with horrible consequences, you think? And lastly, we should consider the possibility that our atomic tests of late could have influenced the arrival of celestial scrutiny. They could have been curious or even alarmed by such activity, and rightly so, for the Russians would make every effort to observe and record such tests. Now, this was in 1947, okay? So, and exactly every single thing that it has talked about is now in place.
Mm-hmm.
We now do have, nuclear warheads that are on different, technology. We do have these missiles. We do have, quote unquote, satellites up in, in space. And if you watch the video that I put out, on one of them, it actually, talks about how they are putting satellites up up above, so that they could actually, put out an EMP pulse.
Yeah.
And so we already know that we've already said, right, that if the quote-unquote sun threw out a solar flare and we got hit with a really big, dose of the radiation, then it would take out our grid. And again, I think like 10 years ago, we were told that, it is actually a simple fix. It would probably cost, less than $1. I think it was like 37 cents for this, this piece that they would need to make and put on all of the transformers. And that would protect our grid. And we think we would pay, our military will pay, $15,000 for a freaking toilet, or, a spackle, tool or something. But yet we can't pay 37 cents to secure our infrastructure and, our grid. But, of course, why would we want to do that if that is already the government's plan?
True.
And that kind of takes me to the next thing I want to talk about tonight, which is some of these underground cities and bases that are also being used as, like, labor camps. Some are underground. A lot of people that seem to go missing seem to be told that's where they are taken. There has been, again, pictures and things smuggled out of these locations that show humans in cages, rows of cages.
Yeah.
Some scary shit I hate to tell everybody, but, it is said that these people are used for food for alien other races. So just like how we, herd our cows so that we can have, and our pigs and our animals so that we can eat, we're part of their main food source as well. And seems like they've targeted the people that nobody cares about, or they don't have anybody. And we know with our homeless population that it's rampant. It's absolutely rampant. Like, people are disappearing on such a huge level that I don't even think people understand how many people go missing every single day that are never to be found.
You remember the 80s, too, when milk companies started putting missing children, on milk cartons and other missing people. And, during that period, there was a whole rash of sightings of things, and they were, it was basically being pointed toward that. But if we really look closely, too, it could be very well be our own government who are doing these experimentations with our kids. So we really have to, any researcher who are serious about finding out the truth would, try to go into the depths of learning, what's happening to these kids in these various areas. And, sometimes if you look around certain spots, there is a military base that's close by that, that has a deep underground connection, like us, we're between two. We have Mather and McClellan, and they have underground resources,
right.
So who knows what goes on, because I know there's tunnels that go through here from Northern California all the way down through Fresno, as well as down towards Southern California, and I know they lead directly to, Area 51 in Nevada, and no doubt it goes to Dulce as well. So there's
and I wouldn't doubt it whatsoever. I mean, they have finally come public with the fact that they do have these, drilling machines that will bore through just about anything, and, for underground, tunnels and all kinds of things. So, I mean, if we have that now, come on. It's not like we just discovered this now.
Yeah.
Think about it. We've had miners, that they used to do it by hand, and, as time evolved, of course, yeah, they have these underground places. I think that probably a lot of the underground bases and underground locations were probably around for a very long time. And probably, they belong to other races that maybe, lived underneath long ago. But, now the military is connecting all these things. And, again, in the video when we talk about this, it had showed a senator who had been invited to take a tour of one of these underground cities. And they had these, tubular subways, these, super subways, where they kind of, shoot you, through, and, you could get somewhere super, like a tube system. And
yeah.
And he went there, and where he stayed, in the room that he stayed in, is on his table next to his bed, there was like a flyer, which talked about, the underground cities and, the different places that the subway would take you to. And it did say that, a lot of the very well-known places that we know that it connected to. And he had pictures of some of these subways where they had on the greeting panel, it was in alien language. In other ones, they had it in Masonic language, symbols and stuff like that. So, obviously they dealt with different races, and he leaked this stuff out and immediately went missing. He immediately disappeared. Yeah. And still to this day has never been found, but the stuff was leaked. Yeah. And again, it's if I said, oh, hey, something happens to me, release these pictures, I was taken to an underground, as a visitor to an underground, secret facility, and you released them, so many would laugh. They're like, yeah, whatever, crazy woman, she also said she saw spirits, so who the hell knows. But he's a senator. And if we think about who would be the people that would have the clearance or be able to go to a location like that, because you have to be pretty high in the government.
Mm-hmm.
Either in the military, a lot of times, the senators, governors, politicians and things like that are, invited to things like this, or very secret places where nobody else would be allowed to go. And it's very, to me, it's kind of mind-blowing, the information, again, that is out there, and it's all happening right underneath our feet. It reminds me of that show, Underground Cities. Did you ever watch that on the Travel Channel?
No, I haven't.
So
I think I've seen some of
it
before.
Yeah, they would go all over the world and all over the United States to all these locations that have underground cities. Mm-hmm. And, oh, my God, Renee, they're everywhere. They are freaking everywhere. And they would have they show the top, like, say Paris or something, right? Or
right.
Las Vegas was one of them. Las Vegas was one, and I definitely knew that was an interesting one. So then they pan down to, like, the street, and then they go down to, the dirt, and then it goes down, and then they're underneath the streets of Las Vegas. And they're going through all these underground streets and tunnels and cities, and because long ago there were a lot of people that did live underground.
Yeah.
And I watched it for so long. Oh, it was just, to me, it was just always so fascinating. And these are just right under our own cities and right on our own streets. Just like here in Sacramento, we know that there are underground tunnels here all throughout the city.
Yep, absolutely.
Why would it be hard?
Yeah, even one of our own investigators witnessed the actual construction of one of the tunnels downtown. In fact, he was able to see it, and he asked about it. Eric. He basically they wouldn't tell him, but but he knew there was something odd about that tunnel. That if I remember correctly, he mentioned something about a tank actually came out of one of the tunnels. So
yeah.
And
that's right here in Sacramento.
Yep.
Yeah, there was these underground tunnels that were connecting, these areas, but it wasn't showing on any of the schematics. And so, he kind of came across it and was trying to, fish for some information, and, hit a lot of roadblocks. So it's like, okay, so why hide this stuff when it's already in the history books? It's already in the public eye. And now that we've put these underground cities on television, now we absolutely know they exist without a shadow of a doubt, because we had cameras that went down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like in other countries, we have the catacombs. There was just that freaky-ass mummy that you posted. Thank you so much for giving me a flashback. But I know you did that on purpose, though. With a little chuckle when you did it. I knew you did. I could see it. But Renee knows I have a long history with interaction with haunted dolls, and that basically tormented me as I grew up. And so he always thinks it's funny to find interesting doll stories to put and kind of traumatize me. So, yes, the other day he decided that he found one better. He found a story on a little girl that had died. Where did she die? It was in Spain or something, in the catacombs?
Something like that. Yeah.
Like in Spain or something like that. I can't actually remember. I'm not looking at the story right now, but the dad had her mummified. And so she was in this little teeny tiny coffin. She's like 2 years old, and she had stayed perfectly preserved, and she looked like a little porcelain doll. And the people come and over there they have all these catacombs, and so her little coffin, that's where it is stored. There's a museum in the catacombs, and so you can go and see it. And the visitors, every time they pass by, they would say that her eyes open and close when people come in and visit her. And I thought, great, another creepy-ass doll, but it was actually, a mummified girl. Same difference. Not much difference to me. And the little girl, when she was young, she had dark hair. She was brunette. dark eyelashes and eyebrows. And now, over the years, because I think this was like, it was 94 years old.
94 years.
So, yeah. And so they were saying that her hair, so when you see the picture, her hair is blonde. It's in little pigtails, and she's got blonde eyebrows and eyelashes. So they said that it changed, and they were trying to tell, the government was trying to tell the public that they had found the reason why the girl's eyes opened and closed, and it was because people were, and her hair color and stuff had changed. It was because of the atmosphere down there, and that when people come and they take pictures and the flash goes off, it makes her eyes open. Well, that didn't go over very well. I guess, foreign countries, even though a lot of people think that they're not very smart, they're very, very smart. And they're like, oh, hell no. A camera flash is not going to make this kid's eyes change, open and close and stuff. So I just wanted to mention that, and thank you so much, because I was like, great, thank you. I had flashbacks for a few days.
Sorry about that.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Well, because I love you.
Yeah, I know. Hey, so did you hear about the underground city that they actually have found over in the Grand Canyon?
Matter of fact, I think John Rhodes knows a lot about that place, because that's been his research, about the reptilian cities, and he knows a lot of places down in those areas. So it's been his part of his research for years. Matter of fact, I'm going to try and get him to come on the show at sometime soon too, so that you hear from him exactly the stuff that he's discovered. Not just here but worldwide. He's definitely a knowledgeable man about the reptilians and how long they've been here. He knows where a lot of their entrances are. Yeah, he's been kept secret, and he doesn't want to, I guess, rock the boat, so to speak, about what his findings were. But he knows a lot about the reptilians and the reptoids that are down here. So, yeah, I'm going to try and get him to come on the show. Yeah, absolutely, because he is very knowledgeable. He has a mind that's like an encyclopedia, in as far as his research, going back in time and looking at the various transcripts of his findings of reptilians existing and being around mankind for eons, basically. So he is truly amazing. I got to see if I can book him on the show.
Yeah, that would be a big one. Well, I was doing some research, and I was, reading all the different things, and supposedly in the Grand Canyon, there was an entire city. I mean, a full-blown city where the underground city that they said that could house like 50,000 people. And
wow.
I guess they're talking about using it as a museum or something there. But, again, how very, very interesting. So it looks like we're coming up on the hour. So we'll take these topics, and I'm looking in chat. People are wanting to for us to talk about the Malaysian airliners and what we think happens to that, along with talking about, again, the missing people. Like, there have been whole towns, whole villages that had just up and disappeared. I mean, poof, gone. They, one day they're there, the next day they're not there. Very much, or very similar to when we think about the same thing, like in Mexico at the pyramids, and how the Indians, like, they just one day they just disappeared. They were just all gone. They abandoned everything, their whole city, and were gone.
That is weird. That is amazing. To me, I know it sounds a lot of, really far-fetched for an entire city to disappear or village, but things like that, it's been reported like that for some time too, even in Africa, in fact. I know that can't remember exactly where exactly in Africa that there was a village that was actually actually squashed basically by apparently what was a UFO that landed and actually crushed the village completely. I'm going to try to research that. I'll try to see if I can find that actual report about that one because that one just kind of blew my mind. It's like it's like why the hell did it land on top of the village? And with all that extra space around.
I mean, you think you're in Africa. It's not like they're going to have like a whole bunch of buildings. They have like a hut and that looks like the surrounding wilderness. Like who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't realize that it's don't land there. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
We think of them intelligent. You would think so, but who knows? Maybe they just landed and just happened to be on this little village, or it's a really big UFO. I don't know which one, but one or the other. I'll
take that up.
What? Okay, yeah, that'd be great. And then also in the next hour we'll be talking. Robin in chat actually is one of our investigators on P.P.R.S. Is wanting to know about disclosure and what our feelings are on disclosure. She's saying, will disclosure come in the form of, will it ever come, or will disclosure come in the form of a mothership over city? So we're going to talk about that too. There's so much more to talk about tonight on the show, so we really, really appreciate everybody tuning in. Again, we want to make sure that you check out all of our social media pages. You can check out Facebook, check out our Aliens, UFOs, and Beyond page. Make sure to check it, like it, give us feedback. Also, check out dtmwickedradio.com. Boy, we have got a whole lineup of new hosts, regular hosts that have been here for a while. It is growing every single week. We are hitting so many, different targets of listeners. It is just blowing us away. And I have to give a big thumbs up to our owners, both Tiffany and Dennis Gager, because I will tell you they work tirelessly, especially Jenny, getting online, getting us connected. We are syndicated. We are, simulcasting on many different networks. It's just growing like crazy. So, thumbs up to our network. So make sure to check out their page and give them a like. And let them know how much you like the show. So they always love to get feedback on how we're doing. So I guess that's what we'll take in the second hour. What else do you want to talk about the second hour?
I know we could touch a lot about, more about the bases. But, yeah, I definitely like to talk about the disclosure and about, what Robin is, wondering about if we are going to have the disclosure in such a matter of a large mothership or another way. But, yeah, we'll go along with that. I think that would be a great thing.
And also, we're going to talk tonight about the new concept that was revealed by NASA, their new warp drive ship. And if anybody has seen the pictures of this thing, it is freaking amazing. It's right out of Star Trek. I mean, I'm telling you, it's like I feel like I'm going to soon be living in the world of Star Trek. Like, I so believed Star Trek when I was young and didn't even know why. People say, oh, that's made up. And I'm like, no, you'll see. I need to find some of my old friends and look them up because I used to tell people when I watched Star Trek. Yeah, exactly. I was always like, one day we're going to have this stuff. And they're like, yeah, what? Shut up. You're always saying something crazy. And I was like, you'll see, when we start having our flip phones. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Flip phones, and then with the next generation, we got, the iPads and so forth. And we have things that, like when we use it on our investigations, our phones it's almost like a tricorder because we're able to use it for various devices to do our investigations. So there we go.
Absolutely, yeah. We got our tricorder. I mean, it's, the same thing. And it is very interesting how many things we have, similar to like the microwave, or, machines that they would go and they would push a button of what they wanted to eat and it would pop out. And guess what? Now we have, food vending, machines that you can get hot food, right? You just push the button and it heats it up for you and it pops it out and you're good to go. So, so many things that we saw, actually, I could never really believe that people, I don't know, that they just had such a fantasy that they could just, make all this crap up and then say, you know what, that would be kind of cool to, make it in real life. I really felt like all this technology and stuff that they came on, we already had. And they made it into, sci-fi to kind of get us acclimated to it, so we would start to look so technologically smart as time went on. And, that's exactly kind of how they played it. It's like each time we turn around, look what we have here. I think back to the Jetsons, and that's really telling my age right there. But, they have the little spaceships and stuff, and they had their robots that, help them with everything and cooked and all this stuff, and we have those, right? We also, the tubes, we have those, and we don't have that I know of, we don't have the spaceship that folds into a briefcase, but we do have airplanes that are cars that do fold up into a suitcase. So we've got something similar, but something that was very interesting that not only in the Jetsons, but then even later in a lot of the sci-fi movies that would come out about the future and things like that with a lot of the, Tom Cruise and stuff, where you see, the retina scans and all the little things computers that could, you'd have a chip in you to tell you, the RFID chips, all these different things we are, again, seeing happening. And the other thing is video calling. We always saw people making phone calls over their video screens. They no longer had to have a telephone. Their TV could also answer the phone. You could video chat. You could see who was at your front door, the whole 9 yards, and lo and behold, guess what we have? So very, very interesting stuff. We'll talk a little bit about all of it. Boy, I tell you, there's just so much coming out that it's hard to really stay on top of it. But I think that it's good to have shows, where we can, get this information out and talk about it for everybody. So let's start, I guess, with Lorraine's question in chat about the Malaysian Airlines, because I know that she's my island girl, and she always has to leave a little early because it's later over there. So we'll talk about that. It's something we haven't talked about for a while. And you notice that just like with, well, yeah, but it's no different than look at Fukushima, right? When the whole earthquake and tsunami happened, everybody was on the internet and on the TV every day about it, right? And as soon as CNN stopped, telling people about it, they said, oh, it's okay, we're not going to be affected. Everybody's like, okay, we're out of danger, where all of us are watching these radiation plumes and radiated, debris wash up onto our coastlines. Crazy-looking animals that are being deformed and, even the fruits and vegetables over there being deformed. So it is really no different. Anything that has ever happened is only in the media's eye for a very short time unless they have a reason to keep it live, keep it going. It's usually, these things are usually used to as kind of like a false flag to kind of get you to focus on something else for a minute. So you'll notice it when we were dealing with the whole, Obama birth certificate crap, and then all of a sudden it was Fukushima happened. So we can't worry about, if our president actually qualifies to be our president, we look at Fukushima. People are dying over there. That's much more interesting watching people get swept away by the water and, stuff that, again, I feel was 100% man-made. But so we get around to the Malaysia Airlines, and I will tell you I have never seen it caused such a flurry of attacked arguments hatred, sadness, fear. It was just absolutely crazy. And again, then you had all these psychics, trying to pop into the limelight and make a premonition on, it's going to be found and it's going to be here and it's going to be there. I knew that thing wasn't going to be found. I knew 100% it wasn't going to be found.
Yeah.
Do I think it was found? Absolutely not. It's not in the Indian River. I mean, in the Indian Ocean. It's not there.
Nope, definitely not there.
It's comfortably with the military. We will never see those people again. And if those passengers are allowed to return to society, it would have to be, I would assume, under a whole nother identity. Because, again, like in some of the false flag things that we've seen people who are supposedly survivors or somebody who died, right, in one of these false flags. And then we see them on the next false flag. They're like one of the people interviewing somebody. They're a reporter or they're another witness or something. And you're like, what the hell? Like, huh? Like, didn't you just die a couple years ago? Like, what's going on here? And I definitely think this was definitely another false flag that they put out. And I knew right away, and that, again, this is personally my opinion. It doesn't really, to me, matter what anybody else thinks. This is what I've always picked up. This is what I've always been shown. So this is what I'm going to believe because I always trust what I'm shown. And and we all talked about this, too, because the thing is that, being a scientist, especially when you are a scientist from another country, okay, and you are working on black ops, top secret, governmental, things like, and they were dealing with this, the microchips for all of our military weaponry systems. So now that we have, changed everything, it is very rare for any more than one scientist to lie with another one. And usually the thing in the military or in the government, especially on these really super top secret type things, missions and jobs, nobody is given all of the information. All of the scientists are scientists in either the same field or different fields, and they all work on a different part of the project.
Right.
They usually don't interact with everybody that is working on the project. They may work with a few. They don't want them comparing information and things like that. So it is very, it's top secret for a reason. And to have all of those, and I mean it was a lot of scientists, all put on a commercial airplane, first of all together on the same flight, because to hijack and kidnap one of them would do nothing. You would have to kidnap all of them.
Yeah.
And I don't think that our military, nor would any other military, allow people with the secrets of these are the only people that know how to enable and disable our whole navigation systems, our military weapons, our defense, everything. Like, it's all run on computer chips now. And they were building them. So, what?
You got to look at, too, here's this Malaysian aircraft, and you have some of the most top minds of the Department of Defense on this plane all at one time, of all people to go on this one plane, and then when it takes off, it disappears after it makes a certain turn. It's hijacked. It's gone. It disappears off radar. No communication. No ping from the black box at all. but they keep getting echoes from people's cell phones, keep going off. But on top of that, with all the satellite that we have out there, could not find it anywhere unless they purposely turn them off.
Exactly. And not even that, okay, because even if they turn it off, I don't even care that. We have satellites that are up in our orbit, in our atmosphere, that is, or up in the sky, that is, has so many cameras that they can literally zoom down and read a piece of paper that a person is holding on the street.
Yeah.
Okay? So even if the radar went off, they turned the airplane completely dead and deactivated the GPS in it, I don't care. The satellites never go off.
They never do.
And in fact, I had seen that one of the big camera companies had worked with a satellite, and they had put it out there, and this thing goes 24 hours a day. And what it was allowing was different police departments to be able to log into this satellite, and they could access the data. And so, say there was somebody, went on a rampage and massacred a bunch of people, or they blew up, something. You could take that imagery and you could back it up, for a month. And you could then slowly watch it as a video of every single thing that has happened. Then you can hover the mouse over like vehicles on the street, and it will give you the information on who it's registered to, all these things. You can hover your mouse over a person walking on the street or getting out of their car in a parking lot, and through facial recognition software, this is how good this stuff is. It can zoom in on you, and it can tell them exactly who you are and give them all of your information. So that's how they're trying to now kind of deal with law enforcement, is to be able to relook at it and be able to get these people and find how they did it, where they were at, or track it more, from start to finish, the whole 9 yards, and be able to identify people. But if we have that kind of capability to monitor us, you're going to tell me we can't find any freaking airplane that is flying in the air?
A big plane at that?
A big freaking plane, okay, for all kinds of people in it. I mean, it doesn't even make sense. And
even with the transponders off.
Yes, that's what I said. Even if you turn the whole thing down, because all that transponder is going to do is, give the electronics on the ground, to know where they're at.
Yeah.
Okay? But it's like this, they have live video where they can see every plane that has ever taken off and has got, just like our airplane, air traffic controllers, radar, where it keeps track of all of the planes that are up in the air. These satellites can see all these planes as well. So if you don't have all of the GPS equipment, and the radar on, great, go to the satellite. And the thing is that I know I am, obviously not the world's, only smart person. I mean, really, I was floored why people were thinking about this stuff, and questioning, why aren't you using this stuff? But everybody's like, oh, okay, well, it just got hijacked. They're telling us it's hijacked. And they crashed it, and they know. I mean, everybody saw the news. They were trying to convince us, hey, look it, this is an airplane. You can see it very, very clear. And when everybody kept saying, yeah, maybe we think we can see it, but we have to know for sure. No, they couldn't. They were saying, oh, we found debris, but it wasn't that debris. Probably some freaking Fukushima crap. But regardless, we have, the fact that, they do have all this stuff, and they don't want us to know it. So definitely with the Malaysia Airlines, I do think that it was landed on, one of our secret military bases, or one of a base that is ours. And, unfortunately, it's going to be one of two things. Either the project was compromised somehow, or there was some kind of a mole or maybe a traitor, among the scientists. And, they were all foreign. They were all from, I think from the Asian areas. So either there was something going on there, and maybe they were going to sell the information or something, and they're like, we got to stop this now, so we're just going to take them all out, because again, with one person, they know nothing, and it's not enough to do anything, but to have them all, go missing together, it's just way too convenient. So I think that, we either will not see them ever again, or who knows, maybe they'll give them another identity, and they can try to blend into society again.
Yeah, they can actually, people can actually be reprogrammed if they're hypnotized to do a certain thing too. So disappear new identity.
Think about that.
Yeah, and so
Absolutely.
you got to look at that, and like when we hear all this weird killings, people can be hypnotized and not know that they're the weapon. So we got to look at that aspect too. It's not too far-fetched because it's been done before, and to understand what happens to a plane when it actually crashes on water. All those seats in certain panels and everything else are designed to float. So there would have been a big debris field for them to...
Well, look at over the years. We've seen many airline crashes that have been in the ocean, where they've had to, in New York, remember that plane crash? There have been many times that, planes have crashed into the water while trying to land or an emergency landing. And, the debris field is vast. And I don't care how, rough the seas are, with a plane that size, you should have been able to find something.
Yeah, because those
seats are not meant to sink.
Right. They are designed basically for that purpose, because they're actually your flotation device.
Absolutely.
So by FAA, that's the rule, that's the law that they have to come up with. So when they're showing that little itty bitty bits of debris, and it's like, oh, that ain't it. That thing is just so small, like a little trash pile kind of thing. It's like, nah, no way.
Right, and they couldn't find anything, and then of course, we can't find it today. It's too rough. Oh no, it's too rough now. Oh well, we get something now. You remember all the family members?
Mm-hmm.
They're rallying, and they were just not going to give up. Like they were going to rally till they had some information. But now all of a sudden, everything is quieted down. So has the government went in and told them something to quiet them all down and let them know their families are okay? But there's a bigger plan behind all this, or what? Because I know if my family went missing, if somebody of mine was on a plane and went missing and they couldn't tell me, you would see my face every single day until I had an answer.
Mm-hmm.
And they were storming the airport. They were storming the governmental agencies. They were rioting. They were pissed. And now all of a sudden it's just like nothing. Yeah.
And it's kind of the whole thing that people can be conditioned. People are so gullible on when they're told and everything, and they try to make it look official and make it so they can actually close the case and sweep it under the carpet, so to speak. And governments, I don't care if it's U.S., all governments have done this to hide, certain things to make it go away.
Right. Well, it is definitely interesting. I know, as I said, I have always been very clear on how I felt about that. But it was amazing to me, watching it kind of all unfold. And you see, all these so-called psychics, and they're all making these predictions. And, it's like they're failing left and right. They're going to be found here. They're going to be found there. This is going to happen. It's going to be found today, the wreckage, and all these different things. And boy, oh boy, the public was having a heyday with all these people.
Mhm.
And for me, I was like, it doesn't even, for me, it makes no difference to be right or wrong. I could care less about, any of that being noticed because I knew what happened. I'm also just not stupid, and I actually, it concerns me more than anything else of, the type of things, because these false flags and these things that are becoming more elaborate and more elaborate each time.
Mhm.
So,
where the mall shooting, a school shooting, or whatever, it just, a special event, the bomb going off, and of course, like you said, you see the same actors in various places, and like, boy, didn't you die? Now you're in another one. So.
Yeah, exactly. And we got so many people now researching that, they capture, these things, and they're like, hey, this person sure looked like somebody else I saw a while back ago. And, now that everything is recorded and archived on the internet, I mean, you can pretty much find anything. I mean, there's even software to, take pictures off of the internet and run it through a software, and it will tell you who the actual person, the actual picture belongs to.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. So,
definitely
interesting.
It's getting harder for the government to try to hide things more and more now, because everybody's got a camera, everybody's got a computer, everybody surfs the internet, everybody goes on YouTube, and these videos go viral, and all of a sudden everybody kind of starts becoming more of a detective, especially when they realize they've been lied to about one other event. So now they're saying, if they lied about this event, well, we're going to look at this one too. So now, like you said, they try to go more elaborate, and it's like they're creating a pattern, and people are starting to go, especially if they're starting to see the same actors in various events, and it's like, So people are starting to catch on. So.
Well, and that brings us, to the question about disclosure. And, this has been something that I've been addressing, not only on the shows, but also in my lectures and things for a long time, is where, disclosure is here. It is happening. It's unfolding right in front of us. Do I think that, we're going to have a big mothership land on the White House lawn? No. Unless the government wants to scare the shit out of us, and then they will. But it would be, but see, that's the thing, too, is that, not only are there, these motherships and different things, we have to remember that, we have the reverse technology now as well. And, we can do the same thing. We have the same ship. So, it always makes me wonder, because before I was like, I just can't wait, till that happens, till they show up. But then I started right away having this really strange feeling of, when they do show up, because it's not if, it's when. When they make their presence known on a worldwide, level, is it actually going to be other alien races, or will it be our own government impersonating, alien invasion? scare the hell out of us because, we talked about this too. We've watched over the years where all of a sudden they started putting all of these alien invasion, they're coming to get us and kill us, UFO shows, or movies out over, like the last 10 years.
Yeah. And
it's never like
do that. Yeah.
It's more like the fourth kind, and it's like the scary kind. Like they're gonna come and get you and eat on you and use you for food or something. Not that they're gonna come to rescue you or help you or any way. I mean, and how do people know? Because we base what we believe, on what we perceive as true. So if we think that, they're coming to get us, of course we're going to want to attack. And, what better than the military from the government to create a false flag. We already know that FEMA camps are already in existence. They're already stocked, loaded, and ready to go. There's staff. There's electricity. So why are they activating all of these places if there's not something that they know that we don't know that's about to happen?
Yeah. And, we seen so much about reports about, the Operation Bluebeam and how that works. They're creating this great hologram to make it look like we're going to be a attack from these, so-called alien beings, to make them look like the bad guy, basically. What the whole idea is why they're doing that. And it just blows my mind. It's like, why would you want to do that? And then we got this kind of shoot first, ask question later anyway. If aliens do come, we got to make sure we make them look really mean. So we got to do this little light show to show they are bad. And then when the real ones do come, then what kind of reaction mankind's going to have toward the real ones? They're going to have this whole defensive thing and, whole panic situation. Everybody's going to be firing weapons into the sky and so forth to, at these extraterrestrials who have no intention in trying to fight off anything, but now you're causing this situation to take place. It's just like, like the United States just loves to poke at other countries to try to get them to fire first and say, look, see, they are bad, see? We're doing the same thing with extraterrestrials. If you poke them enough, then they will attack. So it just kind of blows my mind. It's like, do you guys really want to do that?
Well, yeah.
Really?
But even when we look at Project Bluebeam, I mean, look at how long ago that was. I mean, and look at how much technologically advanced we are from back then. I mean, look at Coachella, the Coachella concert. I mean, they had a hologram that looked so damn real that, people were truly blown away. Like, they just didn't know how to deal with. They were just like, wow. I mean, they were singing and they were talking to the crowd and anything and everything that they wanted to be said, it could be, transmitted and projected in the voice of the person that, they were projecting.
Right.
So that it would say anything and sound that way. So, again, our technology is so advanced now, we could, I'm sure, put just about anything out there that we want.
Yeah, because I remember they did this hologram of Michael Jackson, performing at on the awards, and it's like, I saw that, and it's like, that's pretty darn amazing how they did that. But if they could do that, do a whole performance with a person that's supposed to be dead, imagine what they could do with such, make a UFO in the sky, city-sized UFO and hover. And,
right.
It's just another ploy to create this fear factor, which really annoys the hell out of me. It's like, here we got these beings, actually trying to help mankind because we've definitely made a mess of this planet. And I know they don't want us to extend our hostilities elsewhere. It's the reason why they have certain ones actually get contacted, here and there to try to change the mode of, of a more spiritual connection, to use our gift for the right purposes, rather than using this gift and technologies for destruction. So it's
right.
I know. I feel deeply that they are here to help, and they have no intentions to get into a conflict. Because you and I know Earth would totally lose, basically, bottom line. But mankind.
Well, not only that. Yeah, go ahead.
Mankind just got this audacity to try to create this lie, this whole big lie, that they are the enemy, and it's like, but they're not. We are more harmful to ourselves than anything else.
True. But, we know that, just like with the human race, there is good and bad in everybody. So I would take that there are many very good races out there, and there's also some really bad ones out there that don't have anything good for us. They don't want to see us, excel and continue on. But, of course, we don't know because we haven't really experienced to be able to know it, for ourselves. But it's more like the whole scare tactics, because I've always said, if we have these, advanced beings, right, that, are so much further, ahead than us, and they wanted to wipe us out, it would have already been done.
Oh, yeah.
Like same thing with abductions. Because as many people as, abductees as we have, and contactees as we have interviewed, it's something that, I always, say is that, if it was a bad thing or they wanted to hurt you, why would they take you back and put you back home? They just keep you and do whatever the hell they wanted to do. They kidnap you because I think that happens too, But for those that are abducted and, they have medical, tests done on them, I think that's exactly what they are. It's no different than if you went to the doctors, or you went to the hospital and they were trying to find a cure for you, or they're just trying to find, certain cures, I think, either for mankind or maybe themselves. And so, they do seem to be scientists, researchers, doctors. And so, but the fact that we are given free will, I think that's where we get really caught up as a human race, is that when, something is done to us without our permission, all of a sudden it's a horrible thing. So
yeah, but it's the same thing that we do the same thing with animals, and it's like, well, we do it to animals, so all of a sudden now it's something wrong when it happens to you, kind of thing.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. I completely agree. I completely agree. And then now let's go ahead and let's talk about some of the warp technology that is also out there. It's so amazing that we do know now that there are hundreds and thousands of stars and planets, out there. And again, if we could think that we could be the only species, human species, or species in the whole entire, galaxy, or all the different galaxies out there.
Mm-hmm.
Really, how could that even possibly be? Just on the Earth, we have all these different, varieties of human beings. They look different, but they talk different. They're, all these different things. What makes people think that, an alien race is any different?
Yeah, very true. And you got to look at, too, not just in humans on the Earth, look at the vast species that we have that live in various conditions, from the icy cold waters, in the Earth's poles. And then you got the other opposite. You have all these creatures laying in these volcanic vents that they're thriving. It's like it's impossible to survive that. Well, for us, maybe, but not to them. So when you start looking at other life forms in the universe, at various different types of planets, everybody talks about the perfect planet, Earth-like planet that they've discovered. It's like, that's perfect for life. It's like, well, maybe something like us and other type of creatures that similar to Earth. But there's other beings that can live in such harsh conditions that are intelligent to travel in various parts of space, and even probably survive in a non-atmosphere place. So we have a tendency to think of what the building blocks of life really is, but we really don't. We're just babies learning this stuff, So
yeah.
And so
even as far as we have gone, we're definitely very infantile in the whole concept of things. It's definitely we're still very, very new. We don't really have many answers at all, and the answers that we're getting are being given to us and taught to us, just as like if we were to go to school. And, it's funny because we see that the government now is, trying to talk about changing how we train our kids. We wanted them to be more, tech savvy and technologically intelligent, and, they want to give them engineering and things in school and instead of, the things they have now. And so it shows you what they're preparing for.
Yeah.
They're getting us just ready. I mean, this boom of technology and stuff that we have, it's, I think, about to blow up. And I think that we're going to see so many things come that we're gonna jump. Like the old days, we're all going to feel old. Like, our grandparents, seeing, how they felt like when the computer first came out, because soon we're going to have, opportunities to be able to go and instead of, take a airplane to, Rome, we can take a space shuttle to, Mars or to another planet or another, galaxy. So, it's happening, and that warp speed is something that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's something too, because that's what I really appreciate about Gene Roddenberry, who created Star Trek, and then it went on to the next generation. You see all the science started to build up more and more and more, expanding, and they're expanding to meeting other beings and how they integrate into their political thing, how they, how different and yet the same. And there's showing that we can actually get along, with other species. And you look at the technology, like we discussed earlier, they're doing this warp ship now. And, they're just in the early stages of it. And I watched the video on that, too, of the physicist that's, with the program. And he talks about how it works and how they're going to make this a reality that we're going to be able to travel at these warp speeds. And there's also another report out there now that they're learning how to transport. So, it's only a few feet, but they're learning about, transport, using a transporter. So the science is there.
And teleportation.
It's just so amazing. And it's like, so you look at Gene Roddenberry, it's opened the minds of people and say, we can do this if we put our minds to it. And if we do it in such a right way, we can achieve a lot more. And that's, I think, part of the main goal that our friends out there are looking for us to try to reach. But we just have to learn how to grow up. We have to grow up.
Well, and true. With so many, different, different areas. I mean, again, it is so much like Star Trek, going into, different areas, different planets, different galaxies. They have different lights and all these, different things. And, they say that, there are so many different races that do use these underground cities and tunnels and stuff like that to interact, to live amongst each other. Very, very interesting, but I think that, they've tried to keep this quiet for so long and kind of keep the scare tactic in place that I think that, for many people, like, it just would be too much for them to take. Like, that would just, if they literally saw an alien, they'd probably have a heart attack.
Yeah.
A lot more people believe in it. They believe in UFOs, they believe in aliens, but what do you think they would actually do if, they came in contact with them, themselves?
If it depends on the person if they're going to believe this, the whole nonsense that's being promoted, through entertainment and books and stuff like that and television, then they're going to be the ones going to have a harder time trying to grasp any type of, again, dealing with the extraterrestrial life. But then we got the other group, go ahead and call them the geeks, because they're into Star Trek, they go to all these conventions, would love for the chance to meet actual extraterrestrials with open arms, so, it's kind of like a split down the middle kind of thing. But then there's the religious ones we have to watch out for, that just kind of blows the whole God thing, the whole Adam and Eve thing, and it's like, but, if you were to learn from the extraterrestrials and the whole Adam and Eve thing, you might learn something a little different. It might be able to put it into perspective. If you look at aliens being a lot older than we are, may have actually saw first man on this planet. So who knows how it all came together, unless we just start opening our minds to really research it and be open to learn from these beings. And people really need to do their own homework too. Because I know the truth is in all of us if we really look deep enough, instead of listening to what others are, what we're told all the time, and we just go by that. But we have to be diligent into learning ourselves too, because if you just listen what's on the pulpit, then you're just being lazy and just following just because someone just says it. Well, if someone says it, why did he say it? Let me look and find out where he got his info. If you find other things, other cross-references, and it helps you be a better detective of what you're trying to learn. And you might find something that may be totally something different. So,
yeah, absolutely. I completely agree.
Yeah. The way I see things and the way I came about, it's like, people may not believe me at all. That's them, but I know my truth. I know what I saw. I know how I felt. So I got a whole different kind of perspective. And that's something that I cherish and hold on to.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm actually just kind of looking over some different other different topics on this. Have you seen on disclosedtv.com, a new one's been put out, and it says the 55-year-old mystery about the dark side of the moon solved. Have you seen that one?
No, I have not seen that one.
Well, it's from, it was just posted today. I'll share it on my page. It says, a team of astrophysicists claim to have solved one of the great mysteries of the moon, in the process providing insight to our companion's creation and a new take on our frame of reference. When the Soviet spacecraft Luna 3 transmitted the first images from the other side of the moon, it was expected it would look pretty much like the side we are familiar with. Instead, they saw none of the seas visible to earthly astronomers with small telescopes and only a couple of smaller dark areas covering 2% of the surface. For 55 years, the question of why the two sides are so different has remained a puzzle. For now, known as the lunar far side Highlands problem. I remember the first time I saw the globe of the moon as a boy, being struck at how different the far side looks, says Jason Wright. It was all mountains and craters. Where were the Maria? It turns out that it's been a mystery since the 50s. Now Wright and colleagues at Penn State University have come up with the explanation, published in the Astrophysical Journal Letters. It has long been known that the absence of the basalt plains that we call Maria or seas is a result of the crust being thicker on the far side, but it has been unclear whether this greater thickness on the side away from the Earth was a coincidence. The moon's size relative to Earth has also been a puzzle, with the theory that it was formed from debris thrown up when an object the size of Mars collided with Earth, gaining steadily more favor. Shortly after the giant impact, Earth and the moon were very hot, says Professor Stein's, whatever the hell that name is, other than the paper's, another of the paper's authors. He noted that the moon initially lay much closer to the Earth, ensuring it was more affected by our gravity. At such a close distance, the Penn State team proposes synchronous rotation, where one side always faces the object it is orbiting, would have occurred very rapidly. The same phenomenon is seen on planets orbiting close to their stars. While the Earth-Moon interaction has slowly pushed the Moon to 10 to 20 times its original distance with a correspondingly much larger orbit, its rotation has kept pace so that it's on the same side, always faces the Earth. The smaller Moon would have cooled while the Earth remained hot from the collision, 2,500 Celsius, according to the paper's authors. For the side of the Moon facing the Earth, it would be like having two suns. The second one cooler and the smaller, but also much closer. As a result, the side facing the Earth would have cooled more slowly than that facing towards outer space. When the rock vapor starts to cool, the very first elements that snow out are aluminum and calcium. These would have snowed out the first cooler far side, creating a thicker crust, and the highlands have much more alumina and much less iron oxide and titanium dioxide concentration. That when the asteroid struck the moon's near side, lava flowed to fill the spaces, but on the far side, the thicker crust almost always prevented lava flowing. Very, very interesting, and they were trying to say that, the man on the moon appeared when meteoroids struck the earth-facing side of the moon, creating large flat seas of basalt, and then we see the dark areas called Maria, but no face exists on the far side of the moon, and now Penn State astrophysicists think they know why. So, like I said, very, very, interesting, again, how with science, they can figure these things out. Me, myself, I think there's a lot more going on the dark side of the moon than will ever, be told, but definitely, it is definitely, from what the pictures show, looks, completely different from what the side facing us looks like.
Yeah. And that's the thing, too, especially when you got these other scientists who haven't been on the moon or haven't seen it personally themselves, other than what's been taken in pictures and so forth, and even their own satellite probing and stuff like that. But there's really nothing like those astronauts who were actually there and actually been around orbit, who actually set foot on the moon and so forth. You see things for themselves, and like I mentioned earlier in the show, that they've talked about things that they've seen on the moon. They've seen alien crafts around the moon. They've actually seen structures. Actually, the secret mission Apollo 20 had landed next to this huge mothership of a craft, and where they're analyzing it and so forth. So all this stuff has been hidden from the public, and it just recently resurfaced about their findings. And of course, with these astronauts who've been there, they're up in years. So now they got to the point where they're actually starting to talk about it. And so, it's just like, if you didn't have much time to live or something, you're going to say, as they say, they do their confessions on their deathbed, so to speak.
Right, exactly.
It's like, what's the government going to do to me now? Might as well spill the beans now. So what can they do to me?
I was just looking at and realizing that this weekend is actually supposed to be the flyby of the HQ-124 asteroid.
Asteroid, yeah.
And, dubbed the Beast. How crazy. Like, this thing is 1,100 feet wide, which is about 3.5 football fields wide. And, you think? It says if it was to impact us, the energy released would be measured not in kilotons like the atomic bombs that ended World War II, but in H-bomb type megatons.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like the Robotic Observatory in Chile is actually going to be offering a live video feed starting on Thursday, which I guess is today because it's already Thursday in Australia since they're a day ahead of us. So, so they're going to be watching that for the whole weekend, and it's actually supposed to come. It'll be when it's passing us. It'll be passing us at about 31,000 miles an hour. I mean, you just imagine just little teeny tiny meteorites that we get bombarded with all the time and things like that. Could you, if we got hit by a smaller one and it took out all the dinosaurs? So, can you imagine if you really got hit with the big one? I mean, that's the end of all humanity. And that's where I think that, if there really was any intention out there to save our planet or somehow, help us, that, it might take something traumatic like that where they would step in. Because it is, there are rules, from what I understand, what type of interaction and what they can actually do. And it's just like how we have the United Nations. It's like they all have to agree before they can go forward and do anything.
Yeah.
So I think that, that's pretty much how it all works. So, wow, we've got about 8 minutes left. It's definitely, we've definitely gone over a whole lot of stuff. I mean, we didn't even get to everything that we're going to talk about, but, I guess there's always
have a lot of subjects to talk about, then they'll not have enough. So. Absolutely.
Also, I had seen a video the other day, and I think that it's a spoof one, to be actually honest. It was a UFO sighting in Las Vegas, and it caught my eye because when, I went to Las Vegas for my birthday with Pamela and Eric Johnson. I had Mike Fuentes, and everybody from, many from our team all went out to Las Vegas for my birthday and for a conference that got rescheduled, but we went anyway. And Mike, Sandy, and I were actually walking to go and meet up with Eric and Pam because they were in another hotel, and so was Devlin and Liz. So we were all going to go and meet up, and so we were walking. And as we were walking, Mike was looking up, and he was like, "Hey, look at that," and I looked up, and then all of a sudden we saw this thing, flying, and we actually got video of it. And Mike had submitted it to a UFO online thing, and, they used it where people submit their videos. And I think I'm going to post the video on my page today, but it was definitely very interesting. And, for any of the listeners out there, definitely check out my page, and also put it on the Aliens, UFOs, and Beyond page. Do me a favor, check it out, see what you think it is. So I saw another one, and actually right after we left Vegas, it was claimed that there was another UFO that was caught there right after we left, right when I believe, or maybe it was when we were there, right when they had the earthquake in Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah.
And not that real strong one, but remember when I was gone, they had the earthquake, and it's very strange. We seem to see an increase in UFOs, or UFOs are captured right before or during an earthquake. So they had captured it. It was very interesting, kind of similar. And then so I saw this one. I thought, geez, it seems like Las Vegas is becoming a hot spot. But then I looked at the one that they just posted, and I don't know. To be honest, I think it's CGI or something. It looks way too low. I mean, I know that with us looking at the one we saw, it was so high that we could see it, but even for our cameras to zoom in on it, we couldn't, get a clear picture or so of what it was. It was like jumping everywhere. So, and this thing seems to be like right above the wires of the telephone wires and electrical wires. So I think it's probably CGI, but we are definitely finding a whole lot more sightings, and they are capturing them on video. So we definitely want to keep an eye on that, and we'll keep you all updated. I think the last update I have is next week. I have a very, very interesting guest. And I think it's going to be a very, very good show. I'm going to have the author of Into the Shadows, Esoteric Freemasonry. And anybody that knows me knows, I'm very, very much into the Freemason research. I come from a long history of Freemasons in my family. So I'm going to have Robert Sullivan on. And as I said, he's the author of Esoteric Freemasonry. So make sure to check us out next week. As I said, check out our Facebook page. Make sure to like us, check out our network page, and let them know what you think about our show. And feel free to give us any feedback. Let us know what you'd like to hear, topics you'd like to have us cover. But it's definitely been fun. We always appreciate everybody who comes in to chat. You guys are amazing. Thanks so much, Robin, Kat, Christopher, Island Girl, you know who you are, Lorraine, Lori C., Renee Chavez, and all the other ones that are listening. We've got so many people out there that show up every single week. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for the support. So I think that we are just about out of time. We've got about 2 minutes. You have any updates, Renee?
Nothing other than keep your eyes open. Like you said, if you have any things you want us to talk about, or even if there's something you want us to research, we'll help you do some research of any sightings and everything. And if you had any encounters, hey, share with us, and we're happy to listen. And if there's anybody in your area that we can connect you to for, if you need to be regressive on something, if you had some kind of contact, we have ways to find those people that will help you in your areas.
All right. Okay, well, that's it for us, everybody. We will see you again next week. Make sure to tune in, watch our pages, and like our Facebook page. We will see you next week. And thank you so much, everybody. And thank you, Renee, for coming tonight and co-hosting with me. I think it was a great show.
You're welcome. It was a fun show.
All right.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. All right. Good night.